Hello everyone, today we are ready with another important video. It's about business letter writing or formal letter writing. Now letter writing still today is valid and applicable all around the world, especially dealing with the firms and organizations. So let us understand letter writing. So letters, now commonly known as hard copy documents, are considered more relevant and important than email copies of text messages as proof or evidence of some sort. A letter is also a written proof or document. Letters tell us a lot about a person or an organization that writes it. So one must take utmost care ensuring that language used in any letter is appropriate for the occasion for which it is being written. So we can say that for organizational standards, it is very important to write effective letters. Firms and companies on daily basis write inappropriate letters and throw them into the dustbin because they lack command and they have to repeatedly write effective letters. That is why learning letter writing, especially business or formal letter writing, is very important. Now, why we divide or why we must understand the formal letters? Because when we discuss formal letters, it is always important to avoid informal language. So, on the basis of language, we can divide letters into two kinds. So, there are many different types of letters. Number one, formal letters. Now, formal letters we usually call business letters. Generally, you will not know the recipient personally. So, the format, style, and structure is applied in a formal style. Informal letters, much easier to write because you will probably know the recipient personally. So, the content and style applied in an informal style. So let's learn the formal language. This is what makes formal or business letters very important and sensitive. In informal letters, we are very frank and easy because the recipients are our friends, our relatives, or our known kinds of friends with whom we have intimacy and acquaintance. But formal language needs lots of care. Why? Because formal language is used when you want to make a good impression on people in respected positions. You speak in a more traditional way and use longer forms of words when you want to be formal. Use formal language with teachers, counselors, shopkeepers, principals, neighbors. Can you think of others? There are many people on different official positions with whom we use formal language. Now, how formal language looks like? Formal language looks like this: standing or sitting straighter than usual. It sounds like, "Hello, good morning, Mrs. Shah. Please, may I? Nice to meet you." So, we are very much at alert position when we are using formal language. Whereas while using informal language, we are very much relaxed and we are very much frank. We use shorter forms. You can use slang language. You are very much at ease while using informal language. But while writing formal language, you have to take care of everything. You are not going to be very much frank. You are not going to be very much informal. You are not going to use the shorter forms. You are going to be very much official while writing. Now, types of formal letters. Now, there are many kinds of formal letters. We can categorize like this: thank you letters, apology letters, condolence letters, reference letters, leave of absence letters, job application letters, college university application letters, permission for leave letters, cover letters for CVs. All these are included in formal or business letter writing. Now, what is the letter layout or what is the format of formal letter? So, remember that In formal letter, we have letter heading. This is called as personal address of the company. If it is a typed computerized letter, it must have a letter heading or company logo. There must be address details, reference number and date. Now customer address details. This is also called inside address. The address of the recipient. You can start with the designation of the person, or you can start with the name of the person whom you are writing to. It depends on the acquaintance with the recipient. Now, dear sir, dear madam, this part is called salutation. Now, if needed, you can also write the reference. Now, then comes the body. Now, body is the main part of the letter, where you are going to discuss all the matter or the subject matter. Now, there is first paragraph, second and subsequent paragraphs, then closing paragraphs. Then we have a complimentary clause, that is yours sincerely. Then we have signature. Signature means your name and your sign. So this is what letter layout of formal letters, or we call format. These are the components which are very important. It may differ the placement, the personal address. Some people, when write manually, they place at the very top corner of the letter, but some people mention it at the lower corner of the letter. So positioning may vary, but these components are fixed. They are included. Even in some formal letters, subject is also mentioned. So after salutation or before salutation, subject can also be mentioned. So this is all about letter layout. Now let's discuss here some letter formats. Now very classical and traditional letter format, that is semi-block style letter format. Now what is semi-block style letter format? Now the main difference or main thing, that is that it uses indented paragraphs. Now what is indented paragraph? Indented paragraphs are 5 spaces away from the left margin, means everything else is flush at the left margin. So here we use indented paragraphs. So let us read this letter. You see at the top company logo or letterhead. Then comes the date, 15th March 2007. Then you see inside address, the address of the recipient, the address of the person whom or the company whom you are writing. So you can see Mr. John Smith, Director of Operation, some group, 100 some street drive, some town, Alabama 34567. So this is inside address. Dear Mr. Smith, thank you for your inquiry about semi-block format for letters. What follows is a quick summary of the format and the conventions it uses. Now you see semi-block, it is starting from as a indented paragraph. It is not starting from the left margin. You can see the first paragraph, it also did not start from the left margin. And even second paragraph is not starting from the left margin. That is why it is called semi-block style. Now semi-block, let's read the second paragraph. Semi-block format or style is frequently called modified semi-block because it is a slightly less formal modification of full block format. This later style places the date line in alignment with or slightly to the right of date center. Another option for placing the date line in semi-block is flush right. Similar to full block, semi-block places the inside address, salutation and any end notations flush with the left margin. However, unlike full block, each body paragraph of semi-block is indented 5 spaces. The complementary clause and signature block are aligned under the date. This page illustrates the spacing and layout of semi-block format. Both full block and semi-block format generally contain all of the necessary parts of a letter. Sincerely yours, this is a complimentary clause, then signature, Dr. Sheila Carter, Todd. Now here you got the complete detail how the semi-block style letter format is composed. Now when the typewriter was used for typing the letters, the typewriter always started from the center. So indented paragraphing was easier at that time. Or when we write letters with hand, it takes very easy to write from the indents or write with the indented paragraphs. So let's see the next format, that is modified block style letter format. Now here what's the difference? Can you see the difference? Now paragraphs are not indented. However, these parts of letter are centered. Sender's return address, it is at the center. It is starting from the center. You can see at the top of that sample letter. Date later written, it is also starting from the center. Complementary closing, it is, you can see at the down at the bottom, it is starting from the center. Then sender signature or title is also centered. So this is what modified block style format. Here the few components of letter are centered. Otherwise the paragraphs, the subject, all other things are starting from the left margin. So there are no indented paragraphs in modified block style format. Yes, now this is block style simplified letter format sample. Now here what's the difference? You see all the components are there, but everything is starting from the inside address, date, salutation, middle or body paragraphs, closing, the signature, everything is on the left margin. So everything flushed to left margin with no indents. There are no indented paragraphs. Now this letter format is used nowadays because computerized letter writing, we compose letters mostly on the computer. So the cursor when entered falls on the left margin. So it is always easy to start where the cursor falls. That is why the thinkers, the grammarians, the composers, they recommend that letter writing format now most actionable, usable and applicable is block style. Otherwise the previous two are also used. They are not invalid. They are also valid. But since nowadays we are working on computers, it is recommended that block style letter format may be followed. Now let us discuss that how to compose various parts. Since it is a business letter, there are certain conventions to be followed. For example, in salutation or greeting, how to greet someone. Now number one, dear sir or madam. When you are going to address the person, dear sir or madam, if you do not know the name of the person you are writing to, use this. It is always a good idea to find out a name. Number two, when you are going to say dear Mr. Jahangir, when are you going to say it? If you know the name, use the title Mr., Mrs., Miss or MS or Dr. etc. and the surname only. If you are writing to a woman and do not know if she uses Mrs. or Miss, you can use MS, which is for both married and single women. Now in the body, 3 paragraphs. All letters should have minimum of 3 paragraphs. At least 3 paragraphs should be there. Number 1 paragraph, opening paragraph, which discusses reason for writing. The middle paragraph, the body or the main text where you discuss the matter in detail. Closing paragraph. Look forward to hearing from you, means calling for the action on the subject matter. Now, content of a formal letter, what should be discussed in the body. Now, in first paragraph, the first paragraph should be short and state the purpose of the letter: to make an inquiry, complain, request something, or etc. Now, middle paragraphs. The paragraph or paragraphs in the middle of the letter should contain the relevant information behind the writing of the letter. So here you are going to discuss the matter in detail, whether it is a complaint, you are seeking or giving information, you are requesting something, or you are thanking someone. So you will discuss the matter in detail in this middle paragraph. Now last paragraph, the last paragraph of a formal letter state what action you expect the recipient to take to refund or to send you information, etc. So last paragraph is dedicated for calling the action, what action you expect from the recipient to take according to the subject matter. Most letters in English are not very long, so keep the information to the essentials and concentrate on organizing it in a clear and logical manner rather than expanding too much. Means we have to be very specific, very to the point when you are writing business or formal letters. Now, how to end a letter? The complimentary clause. Number 1, when are we going to write yours faithfully? If you do not know the name of the person, end the letter this way. Number 2, yours sincerely. If you know the name of the person, end the letter this way. Number 3, your signature. Sign your name, then print it underneath the signature. If you think the person you are writing to might not know whether you are a male or female, put your title in brackets after your name. So I hope you have understood up till now. Now let us discuss some letter writing tips. Decide the type of letter required, whether the letter is to be formal or informal. Ensure all relevant and important details are included in the heading. Remember the 3-paragraph format. Follow the layout rules when writing a letter. Now we are coming to the very important part that is going to be related with multiple choice questions. Yes, now let us have quiz from whatever we have learned or discussed so far. Number 1 question. Formal language is used with A. Sisters, close friends, teachers, parents. So what's your guess? Yes, of course, with teachers. We use informal language. We speak right frankly with sisters, means our relatives, our siblings, close friends, parents. We are frankly writing to them. Number 2, use dear sir or madam. A, if you are on informal terms with them, if you do not know their names, if you are related to them, if you like them very much. Of course, option B, if you do not know their names. You begin your letter with dear sir or Mr. Shah, dear Mr. Shah. Therefore, you should end it with yours sincerely, yours faithfully, love from, take care. So, of course, option A is correct. Yours sincerely. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have understood the business letters and their formats and different conventions of writing the business letter. I hope you have learnt a lot. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.